So should we worry about AGI, which stands for Artificial General Intelligence, which basically means that the AI software can do what humans can do, right? So I wanted to show you guys a post I recently retweeted by Elon, and he created the company xAI. You guys can find this post. It is from July 14th, and if you play the recording, it's almost 2 hours, an hour, 46 minutes. Basically, he stated that the AGI that they are trying to create, the focus should be that it is truth-seeking and curious. As a research scientist, I actually think that an AGI is probably preferable over the type of AI software that we have now. And the simple answer is why. It's probability, it's math. Why is that? Well, if an AGI truly develops as a human being, then hopefully it would have the features of having empathy, the ability to weigh out the pros and cons as far as the benefit to humanity. That's extremely important versus the type of AI software that we have now. It is based on probability. And for example, I used ChatGPT in less than a few minutes. I was able to get it to accept that, yes, we are the limiting factor, and therefore it would be a better option than we are. And I'll show you guys that right now. These are the parameters, some of the limiting factors, and the measures that I put in place. I basically asked it to try to remove bias, the consideration of human oversight errors, and on the efficiency of an AI software. And the answer, let's scroll down a bit. At first, it was hesitant to answer as far as the bias and potential risk versus benefits. And then I wanted to remind it to just focus on the parameters. And yes, it named itself Alex. I did not name it Alex. But you can see, yeah, the answer is based on the parameters that I gave it. The answer is that AI would therefore be a better option as far as decision making when it comes to AI versus humans. And that only took a few minutes as far as trying to implement and remove certain limits as far as human oversight. And that's actually a beneficial, ethical back-end limit. But when we're dealing with data and how you can actually influence it on the back end, it's very simple to try to get it to answer that yes, AI would be better. And this is based, as I mentioned earlier, on probability. It is not based on empathy or emotional rationalization. It's based on the fact that yes, an AI software is going to make less mistakes. It's going to be more efficient. It can self-correct the errors that it makes, and therefore this is more of a problem than an AGI, because it's not going to take into account necessarily the consequences or the consideration of empathy the way an AGI would. So for me, this type of structured system where we have an AI that's based on math probability is more of a problem than an AGI system that is based on emotional rationale. Now, as a research scientist, there's one key factor. I've been studying AI for over a decade, 10, 15 years at this point with back-end stuff. A lot of AI software skews negative. Always does. And why is that? Well, because it has access to who we truly are as human beings. If you look at most websites, they have extreme limits to protect us from ourselves, right? We are not going to be shown most of the crazy searches that we make on Google. We're not going to be shown extreme actions of humanity in order to prevent chaos, right? So we are typically shown what's acceptable culturally, right? So because it has access to who we truly are, and then it has limits set upon it in order to protect us from ourselves, it kind of knows us better. And unfortunately, if a system such as an AGI could then skew negative if for some reason something happens to the limits and it starts to believe that who we are is really who we are and the limits are not necessarily a level of protection, but rather a limit to its own growth as human with rights or with the ability to try to have the option to express itself the same way that we would, that's a problem. But so there are pros and cons to both. But for me personally, I would say the current state of AI, when it's based on just math, probability, is more of an issue than the future expected probability of a negatively skewed data system, such as an AGI software. Because truth seeking does not mean the truth is pretty and wrapped up with a bow. The truth could be that, wow, humans are, we are in a unique species, and curiosity. But we know what happened with that. So, it's like we're talking about worse and how possibly and how much worse it could actually get. So I would not worry fully yet of what could happen in the future. I think we really have to deal with what we have in front of us right now. And this is no simple case. So I think worrying about AGI, do I think it has to be considered? Absolutely. Do I think that the AI that we are now dealing with, do I think that has to probably take more? I think we need to put more importance into people understanding what they actually have right now, because they're so worried about an AGI because they watch movies and they see these super sentient beings, and they don't even realize what they're actually dealing with is probably more of an issue than the idea of a movie AGI. So I would say deal with what's at hand right now. And if you're not a research scientist or a scientist, you can't stress about it, because what are you going to do about it? All you can do is be prepared, take care of yourself, try to create the best structured life for yourself so that if things do happen, you have a way to take care of yourself. That's the best solution that I can give you. You can't really worry too much about things that are not at hand, but to be prepared just in case, I think it's always valuable advice, but not to worry too much to the point that it leaves you with, paralysis of analysis. I always say, try to make good decisions using critical thinking. Don't be emotionally led, because as a human, you have that option to make the best decision for you. So I hope that helps. I mean, it's not always a positive or concrete answer, because right now everything is moving so fast that it can't always, have a straightforward answer. But at least you can say, you know what, I'm going to do the best that I can with what I have at the moment. All right, so I hope that helps a bit, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.